So welcome everybody. This, I feel horrible, is the last lecture, the last coach chat of the entire season. Your last chance to fall asleep while listening to my voice. At any rate, of course, the good news is you can always get the replay on our YouTube channel. Go to LA Roadrunners on YouTube, the little navy blue circle with our newest logo in it. And so thank you, by the way, to ASICS and to Volvo for sponsoring our program. It's been an amazing year. I do want to thank especially all our pace leaders and our water station people who really kind of made this work this season. And hopefully next year we will even be bigger and better. We're already planning. We're already looking at new pace leaders. I've been doing that for a couple of weeks already. So we begin again officially in mid-September, right the week after the Santa Monica Classic, which is I think the third Saturday of September, something like that. So watch out. We'll be getting emails. You'll be getting emails with a newsletter, depending, like once probably next week and then once a month or something like that until we start up again. And with that, let's share our screen and we can go and get this discussion started. Where are we? Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. That didn't help me. Here we go. Let's try that again. Now we got it. Okay, good. Whoops, there you are. So thank you as always for coming today. And it's not going to be a long lecture discussion, but I do, as I say, want to hear from all of you. And that's if you have a body, you're a marathon, you're an athlete. I like that quote. That's me. That's the book I co-wrote. Anyway, here we go. And we're going to post-race. So we already did the other stuff. So we already really talked about eating right after the marathon. Hopefully, if you've already eaten after the marathon, it's been a few days. Hopefully, all of you are no longer sore after the marathon. It has been, like a couple of days. Hopefully, you've used ice, heat, ice, all of that stuff. I do want to recommend that you do keep moving. Don't just be sedentary and watch movies, although I love movies, I love television. But keep moving. It can take up to 3 to 4 weeks to fully heal those micro tears, so those unfelt micro tears in your muscle that are tiny. They look kind of like my fingers if you're looking at my picture. In the upper right corner of the screen, where each filament is just a single strand of single beads of protein molecules. That's how tiny these things are. And you don't feel them unless you've broken like a lot of them, and then it's soreness. And if you've broken way more, that's called injury. It does take 3 to 4 weeks to fully heal these things. And the more you move, the more of the blood flow that you get, the quicker these things heal, right? You need to take in, a fair amount of protein, not huge amount, maybe 10, maybe a little more than 10% of your total diet in protein. These are all protein molecules, so it'll help rebuild these protein molecules, right? I hope a lot of you have thought about creating a new goal. A goal needs to be something that's positive. It can't include the word not, a goal. And this is a whole other lecture we already did that's online, but it needs to be a positive thing, not like I will not come in last. Because then what happens with this negative goal is that you're going to see somebody passing you by in training and you think, oh my God, I'm going to come in last in a training run. Who cares? It's just training. And you're going to speed up and you're going to be wasting your time going at too high a heart rate. And you might even burn out and not even be able to finish the workout, which is really a waste. So create positive goals. Maybe you want to, there was one woman that I remember seeing her years and years ago, decades ago, sitting on a curb. And I said to her, I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm just thinking." And I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And she said, "You know, I'm thinking I might go back to school." I said, "That's great. What do you want to do?" She said, I'm thinking of going eventually to med school." And I said, "That's great. What a great goal." And she said, "Yeah, but no one in my family has ever even gone to college." Well, years ago, she graduated from med school. She's a full-fledged doctor. And I just always thought that was such a great story of someone who had done a marathon and suddenly realized, if I can do this, maybe there are other things that I never dreamt that I could do that maybe I can do, like going to college where no one in my family has ever gone to college before. And beyond that, go to med school. And sure enough, she did it. Um, create a new goal. Maybe it's just a faster marathon, maybe to do like 2 marathons next year. You could do effectively like 1 marathon every 4 months, something like that, be fully recovered. There is a greater risk of doing a little more than that, but 1 marathon every 4 months, it's not horrible. You're fully recovered. You get a chance to rebuild again for 3 months. You can do that. Now, obviously, I do know people who have done way more than that, including my wife, who did like 1 marathon a week for a year, 52 of them in a year. But there was so much that went into that. She had to go way slower. It was all about recovery. I won't go into that. That's a whole other lecture. But yeah, you can be at your optimal best doing one every like 4 months, something like that. But this is the real big, the big thing. Before I go on to the next one, try and avoid the depression that you get at this point after a marathon. And it's like, well, I just spent 6 months or so building up to this monumental task and it's done. Well, now what the hell do I do? And, create a new goal, whatever it may be, along the lines I just described. And that becomes important. The happiest people I know in the world are people who have a goal. And some of the depressed people that I know, and there are a lot of reasons for depression beyond not having a goal, but a lot of people that don't feel like they're getting anywhere don't have a goal. They need to invent one or invent a new one. At any rate, off season. This is the last but important topic for tonight's talk. Like I said, it's kind of a quickie. Um, what do you do in the off season? What do you do for training? Because if you want to come back, and hopefully you all do, you're online. I'm assuming you do. What do you do in off season? Well, this coming Saturday, of course, we have the major potluck with the running club. The running club will take off over for our off season training, and hopefully you will join. I think they're like $55 or something. I'm not sure what they are. I'm on their board and I don't even know. But we will have runs from the totem pole, 7 o'clock, same time, same place on this Saturday after bring your medal, bring a little dish with 5 servings or half a dozen bagels or half a pound of chopped fruit or half a pound of pasta or a gallon of juice, whatever. All the paper plates and all that stuff will be provided, and plasticware. But whoops, there we go. I'm just muting some people. Sorry. Get rid of background ambient noise. But what do you do in off season? Right for the next like 2-3 weeks, I do recommend do just about anything, not too much running. Keep the running to a real minimum so you begin to heal more and more of those unfelt micro tears. But so you could bike, you could swim, a little running, not bad, a little walking, not bad. Walkers, walk a little slower, whatever. Run walkers can do a little more walking, whatever. But here's the problem with aerobic running versus anaerobic running. The anaerobic meaning fast effort, running threshold runs, interval repetition runs, or running on a track, same thing. Usually you're doing repetition or interval training on a track, sometimes threshold, which we did late in the season on a track. But anaerobic gains can go away quickly unless you maintain them. And maintaining a lot of anaerobic work, meaning speed, fast, high heart rate work, means there's greater risk of injury. You're breaking up more and more of these filaments, which you want to heal right now. But the aerobic work, the slow endurance training, maintains itself. You maintain that aerobic ability for a long time. You don't lose that very quickly. Anaerobic ability, you lose that pretty quickly. Your thresholds come down, your muscles, stop firing, your faster muscles stop firing. You become a little slower. That's why when you stop running, you can still pretty much run as far, but at first you may not be able to run as fast, is the problem when you stop for a while. So you might want to try and do one fast session, be it a threshold run or come out to track once a week only. Definitely focus on more volume of aerobic work, start from scratch, rebuild up for if you're not doing another race. If you're doing another race, obviously you need to put the whole package back together, aerobic and anaerobic work. Anaerobic is generally around 15 to 20%, depending on your schedule. They're still online. You can go back online, just change the dates on one of those schedules and jump into it. But if you want to start out in a better place in September when we start again, start building that aerobic work from nothing, that endurance, what we call base training, low heart rate work with the people this summer. You might even want to train with a group that's a little slower, just to get in that, make sure you're getting in low heart rate endurance work. And then, like I said, maybe one day of faster effort. But definitely start in with strength training, more strength training work, build greater strength. This is a great time of the year. Build strength. So when you come back, you're starting with a higher level volume of aerobic endurance, and you're starting with a higher level of strength. So you can push faster and you can go longer, and then you can build from there. So will our schedules actually change and start with more volume? No, you could change schedules. You could do schedule 1, which will give you more volume. Or what you could do is just simply add 5 minutes or 10 minutes to every workout every day of the week. So you're giving yourself more volume while still following the schedule. That would be a great thing for you to do after the off season, once you've kind of built up a little bit for the on season. But definitely strength, stretch, all of that, rebuild your muscles, make them stronger, gain more power from strength training, lunges, squats, or in the gym, seated leg extension, seated leg curls, hamstring curls, all of those adductor, abductor machines where you're sitting there and moving your legs in or pushing the thing out, any stuff like that. Band work where you're walking, you're with a band on your ankles, that kind of thing, to the side, to the front, to the back. all that band work is great, great, similar to machines in a gym if you belong to a gym, but no reason to go get a gym membership because you have all these other things that you can do at home. You know, a big one of those athletic bands are pretty cheap to buy in any, you know, store that sells that kind of stuff, any athletic store, like Big Five, one of our sponsors for the LA Marathon, sells all that stuff at their store in Wilshire. They sell weights and all that. So you could do weights holding your hands with holding dumbbells in your hands and do squats and lunges and all that stuff, or without weights, depending on your ability. So that is it for my lecture. And the last lecture of the season, this is obviously being recorded, and this will once again be online for anyone to watch. And as I always end my lectures, train smart and train to win, because if you don't, you won't. And if you do, you just might. And I thank you all for absolutely an amazing season that I really was, I just thought it was amazing what you guys did out there. It was just a really fun time for me to help orchestrate it in some way. And I won't see you at the finish line because I just did see most of you at the finish line, depending on where I was or what was going on. And, but I look forward to seeing you at the start of our next season and the start of our Santa Monica Classic the week before we begin our next season in September. I think the Santa Monica Classic is like the 10th of September, and we would begin like the 17th, whatever that Saturday is. I'm not sure of the number date, but something like that. So with that, I'm going to flip the cards over and turn this thing off and ask, let's see if there's anything in the chat. I do have 4 chats. We're still recording. Whoops, where's the chat? Here we go. Here it is. By the way, thanks again for all of you logging in, even though the marathon's over. I think that's absolutely great. And let's see. Mel, next race, Long Beach. Pace sub 3 hour for Mel, Long Beach. Long Beach is a great race. There's only one real hill in Long Beach, and that's about the halfway point. You kind of go up at a gradual incline, and then you kind of run around the university over there at Long Beach. And there's a little hill in that area. Then you run down back toward the finish a few miles. And that's Long Beach. It's a good, fairly flat, kind of a lot on the beach kind of course. Coach, I appreciate the patience in explaining aerobic versus anaerobic taper and details regarding running. Look forward to next season. Well, Mel, thank you. I look forward to next season also. And before then, a lot of us are looking to maybe doing, I think it's in May, I'm not sure, at UCLA Nippert Stadium. They have a Los Angeles Grand Prix race, where they have different distances on the track, including 5K, 10K, 1 mile, whatever. So we're going to maybe pull some people in and who want to do it. Pardon me. And, so that's upcoming in the next few weeks. And like once a month, we're going to at least do something in the off season that will be a Roadrunner thing. Like that LA Grand Prix thing. If you could share ways to minimize cramps, I'd appreciate it. Oh, got it. There are different theories about what causes cramping. One is that they found it is not necessarily due to mineral depletion, because they find people who cramp aren't necessarily mineral depleted. Some are, some not. I do personally find that when you start getting cramps, keep in mind cramps come from what they think is a twitch that begins in the motor nerve. Your motor nerve is your nerve that leads to your muscle, and that's your motor nerve, the nerve in the muscle. And that starts twitching, and it causes this cessation of functionality in the muscle itself, which is what cramping is. It's just your muscles are kind of locked, and it's really painful. It can be, certainly. And that muscle that's locked is really immovable almost. It's just not functional. So one thing that I found, this is just me, there's no science behind it, but I see it very consistently, even though it's not mineral depletion necessarily. Taking in a mineral pill within a very short period of time, like 1 minute or less, when those minerals begin to go down your motor nerve because they enter your system really pretty quickly, even from a pill, that needs to be the capsule at least needs to be disintegrated with your, saliva and whatever. I find that does, at least for a short period of time, stop cramping. Now, there is some science that shows that you can stop cramping from taking pickle juice or any sour tasting thing like sour ginger. Spicy ginger will do it. There's one product on the market called Hot Shots, I think it is. I don't even know if it's on the market anymore. That used to have spicy ginger that really did help cramping. You can actually buy a little, like 1 ounce vial shot of pickle juice, or the cheap way to do it, buy a thing of pickles if you like pickles like I do. And when you want pickle juice, pour it into a 1 ounce vial of something, some empty plastic container that you can reuse, fill it with the pickle juice from that jar, take it with you. And there's some really good science on pickle juice will solve that problem, just that much, a 1 ounce container. I can't say it's the best tasting stuff I ever had, but it's pickle juice. I mean, it's the same like pickles, it tastes the same. What the heck? There are other ways of maybe stopping cramping, and that would be, the theory is really what it comes down to is the muscles become fatigued. Now, I see a lot of people that get consistent cramping who are like bodybuilders, and their calves are really defined. I mean, you can see the striations, the ridges of muscles in their calves. That's a very consistent thing that I see with people who are cramping in their calves consistently. And stretching it out, absolutely. If you're weak, building strength there is a good thing, but then there's somehow this balance where you don't want to overdo it and get too tight, so you would need to compensate the strength building with the stretching. So don't just not do strength training, because strength training will in some ways keep you from getting injured. I've heard the term bulletproof you from injury with strength training. And there's some great reality to that. But if your muscle's really tight from all that strength training, and that well-defined tight muscle, you may need to stretch it out, because you may be prone to cramping just from that tightness. You're using your muscle in a way where it's going to fatigue more when you're running. So I find that as a consistent pattern with people who cramp. And stretching and yeah, you can try pickle juice. So there you go. Or there are other products on the market, not quite as effective, but like I said, even mineral pills do seem to do the job. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Coach, for an awesome season. Cynthia, that's so kind of you. Nancy, thank you, Coach David. Great advice, very helpful. Nance, thanks so much for chiming in, all you guys. and I greatly appreciate it. Bertina, amazing season, amazing coach. Aw, Bertina, thank you very much. And you guys all were great. I really enjoyed this season and the last one. The last season was a little tough. Obviously, we had 2 marathons in 4 months, but even a great season then. Marlena, thank you for awesome coaching. Oh, thanks. And a successful run for me. Oh, good. Until next season, coach, and everyone, applause and hearts. Marlene, thank you so much. That's so kind. Nell, I appreciate that. Anyone want to tell me more specifics? How did you do? The good, the bad, the ugly? Mel, were you cramping on the LA Marathon? I know you came in a little slower than what you had hoped. Is that what happened to you, Mel, or anybody?
Coach, that's what happened. I cramped at 24, so by 25, I had to slow down. And besides, I think I started too slow.
Oh,
And
got it.
probably, I ended up running most of the race by myself. I didn't even see the 310 or the 3 pacers. So yeah, probably that's also
What time was your finish? I remember seeing you at the finish line. You seemed like you did okay.
307. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Got it. You wanted a sub-3. Got it.
Yeah.
But 307. Hey, so you didn't lose too much from cramping, but regardless, let's get you to a point where you're not cramping.
That's the point. Yeah, that's what I want to plan for the next time for Long Beach.
Long Beach, you're right. In October, I gather. Got it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Got it. I have here, Martin says, hang on, there we go. Martin says, mile 22 is a dark place and my stubborn streak took me to the end. Oh, excellent. Martin, good. Let me ask, did you have a story in your head, fictional or non-fictional? Did you count your steps? How did you get through that stubborn streak? What was it that motivated you just to keep kicking, keep going? Your glycogen may have been getting a little lower, but you kept pushing. What motivated you? More caffeine from gels with caffeine in them? How'd you do it, Martin? Do you have a microphone? Are you able to type something in quick? And anybody else? Anybody else? How did you guys do?
Coach, this is Marlene.
Marlene, hi.
I have story to tell because at mile 21st, we broke away. So our pacer has to stop for the bathroom. And then our so-called, quote unquote, backup pacer, we followed her. But at mile 22, we were broken apart. I cannot catch up with her. And then that's when I feel I started to hit the wall. But let me tell you what took me to the finish line. And I'm sorry, this might be, offensive or something with other people, but I recorded the rosary and I started praying the rosary. So my pace was like, I prayed the Our Father for my walk, and then I prayed the 10 Hail Marys for my run. And I finished, and this is my first full marathon. I finished at 6 hours and 15. I surprised myself with that time.
And you surprised yourself you could keep going.
Yeah.
Like I said, faith is a great thing. I think that's wherever you get it, wherever you get faith, that's a wonderful thing. I've always said it's a wonderful thing to have a ritual, maybe a religious pendant that you're wearing that you can kiss before the race or wear during the race or whatever. I always think those are wonderful things. The psychology of, having a story that, oh my God, there's a tiger chasing me, obviously fictional, but any kind of story like, God is helping me. any kind of story that you can tell yourself. And God may have been there for you, I mean, when you can open your heart to who knows, um, but all good, all
Yeah,
good
I
stuff.
felt it. I felt it because I even, stepped on a little hole and I twisted my ankle.
Mm.
But
Ow.
I was like, I didn't even, I, I didn't, I just ran like nothing happened.
You
Because
just
I
kept
said,
going.
lift me up, carry me to the finish line.
Yeah, I heard a story about a pro triathlete actually finishing an Ironman, which is a marathon, and people saw her stretch her arms out like I'm doing now, like wings, and she imagined herself flying. And people said they saw her running as if she was lighter and running faster. And she just imagined herself flying. She just absolutely stuck her arms out. And in her head, she was flying, and it sped her up. All those things, psychological things, can really help
Mhm.
you in those last few miles.
Yeah.
Yes, taking in gels can help too. Replenishing glycogen stores absolutely can help, but it's that psychological. We all have that struggle the last few miles. We are all depleted to a point in those, minerals and carbohydrate in the form of glycogen and hydration and just plain fatigue. Your muscles get tired. The last few miles of a marathon. So yeah, good stories, great stuff. Marlene, thank you so much for sharing that. Great.
Mhm.
And you got to the finish line. Did you feel as if you may have hit your pace, what you wanted?
Yeah, because I'm with Andrea and Jan, and our pace is to finish at 6 hours.
And you
And,
finished a
you
little
know,
just close. Yeah.
yeah, 6 hours and 15. And that is my first full that I never thought I can do.
Excellent. Hey, for your first marathon, excellent. Good for you. You always learn more and figure it out.
Mhm.
And good for you. That's great. Oh, Dana typed in, how many days post race should you be drinking electrolytes, focusing on replenishing nutrients? Well, keep in mind, you don't really need to drink in a lot of electrolytes because it's in your food. Sodium is, salt. You don't have to go crazy with the salt, all within reason. You can take in so many minerals just in vegetables. Are great. Fruit filled with potassium. Bananas are the most potassium dense food there is. So just eat healthy. You don't have to go crazy with drinking electrolytes. Obviously, you can't really eat as much and take in, like, you can't, it's not as easy to eat a banana or something solid or while you're running, because that blood gets removed from your stomach and it goes into while you're running or walking or run walking. As your heart rate goes up, your body moves blood to more important areas like the arms and legs. So your stomach becomes less efficient. So you really do need to take in, like, drinking electrolytes, taking in gels, because your stomach isn't as efficient at consuming solids because the blood is getting diverted to other important areas. So that's an important thing. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to drink electrolytes, you're probably replenished by now. It doesn't take that long to replenish sodium. You probably did that when you ate, any food with salsa on it or tomatoes. You just loaded yourself with sodium because tomatoes are loaded with sodium. So I wouldn't worry about, at this point, days later, worrying so much about drinking electrolytes. Just eat food. But great question. Absolutely. When do you need to stop that? Well, you're kind of on a normal diet again. This is Martin's answer to my question is, how did you get through those last few miles? And he typed in, and I'm reading this, I visualize the words, yes, I can. And that becomes kind of a mantra. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Just repeat it over and over and over and over. It's just the same as counting steps, but it becomes a real positive mantra, or anything even similar to that. I will win. I will win. I will win. And you'll watch yourself speed up, and it will maintain a rhythm for your steps, or you can even just count your steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. These things become a mantra where you get any kind of subconscious, I'm tired, my hip hurts, my knee hurts, I've hit the wall, I'm, slowing down. All those thoughts in your head, you can't think them, because you have this ongoing mantra that just inhabits your being and all of your cerebral thoughts, your brain function. You're just thinking, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Just like that. He visualized it as well. I can only assume he also thought it in his head over and over and over and over and over. That's the way to do it. Jose, I lost track of my fueling and had to slow down at mile 23 due to cramps. Peanut butter filled pretzels helped. Great. A lot of sodium in pretzels and on pretzels, and maybe that was the electrolyte that went down the motor nerve that kind of, like I mentioned with mineral pills, could have stopped cramping, at least temporarily. And good note, Jose, good. Yeah, you don't need as much fat or protein during a race. Protein will help you feel a little more full when you're starving and you're out there a long period of time. If this is the Jose I'm thinking it is, who's out there a long time, like 7 hours. And yeah, you do need to eat food or take in a lot of calories, liquid or gel or whatever you're capable of consuming when you're out there that long. I mean, think about it, sitting at a desk for 7 hours, you'd be starving just sitting like I am now at a desk for 7 hours. So yeah, after, a couple hours, you need to start taking in calories.
Coach,
Yeah.
hi, sorry, it is Jose, and it's not that Jose that you're thinking.
Oh, different. The other Jose. Got it.
Yeah, it was my first season with LAR, and I thank you
Got it.
for all the guidance.
Mhm.
I was doing fine on my pacing, and my goal time was
Mhm.
for 3:20, but I lost track of my fuel because I was also keeping in mind my form, my posture.
Mhm.
I was recovering from an injury on
Right.
my tendon. So then I was also keeping track of that. And
Mhm.
so I lost track of actually just the fueling part. So I made it fine. And
Mhm.
I also stopped once to use the restroom, and I lost track of my pacer too.
Right.
So then so I,
What mile was that? What mile was that?
that I lost track of the pacer.
Mhm.
It was around the Sunset Strip. Maybe what is that, like
It's about 14,
15?
15. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
around there. Um, I was still within range,
Mm.
but then I think around the Sunset, no, what is this? Where you said to window shop.
Rodeo Drive, right around
Yes.
16 or so.
Yeah, around
Mhm.
Rodeo Drive. That's when
Yeah.
I couldn't see them anymore because, all the turns, the constant
Mm.
turns,
Mhm.
and people start shifting towards where we're turning. So then I didn't see them anymore. And so I just
Mm.
started running on my own. Um, So I was just keeping pace with them, but then I had to keep pace, maintain my own pace. That's when I lost track of my fueling, and that's when I started focusing on my landing as well.
Good.
And
Okay.
and I guess all of those things just contributed to actually losing track of my fueling because I was doing good.
Hmm.
I had pills, I had energy gels, and I was drinking electrolytes.
Good.
But then something happened, and I was actually holding. That's the funny part that I was actually holding um, energy gels, and I forgot to drink them until I started feeling cramps, and I'm like, oh, that is what this is for. But by then, I realized that I also had pretzels, and I started eating my pretzels, and that really helped. So I don't know, and that's what I wanted to ask: if pretzels, peanut butter, what really helped at that point? What do you think was helping? Because it literally reactivated my system.
Right.
Uh,
Let me ask, how many gels did you take in up to that point? How many carbohydrates and how many drinks of electrolyte did you drink? Any idea how much you took in before that point?
for sure, I had one gel before starting the race.
Good.
I had one around Echo Park because that was
Okay.
like mile
Mile
6.
6. Hmm.
And then I had one like maybe 5 minutes before they actually gave us the first energy gel. So I think
So that
maybe
would have been like mile 12 or so,
Mhm.
mile 10,
And
11.
that's,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So when they were handing out the energy gels,
Hmm.
that's when I grabbed one. And that's the one that I was holding on to when I realized that I had lost track of my fueling. So I had taken in 3 gels and I was doing electrolytes.
Mm.
Like I think every other table, I was doing
Okay.
electrolytes.
So
So
at your
upon,
pace, you were getting in about probably what, about 7, 8 tables per hour, something like that. Tough to say.
yeah, I couldn't really say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that next season I do plan to have it like narrow it down even more to
Mm.
actually highlight maybe in the bracelet that we got at the expo,
Oh,
maybe
sure.
actually highlight where to actually get.
Like write it on that piece of paper that you have on
Hmm.
your wrist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
highlight it per mile maybe. I think
And
that's
then
the only
like
other way.
put some scotch tape over it and under it so you won't, won't get wet and get destroyed,
Mm,
that paper. Yeah, good
mm.
idea. Um,
Yeah, but it worked out fine up until the turnaround. That's when
mhm.
I started um, getting the first initial of a cramp, and and that's when I realized that I didn't drink my energy gel.
Mm.
I didn't do any of the pills anymore. So that's when I started doing all of those things, but mainly
And then
the pretzel.
did the cramps start to go away and when you start taking in more minerals?
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Because right on the around the 405 freeway coming back,
Hmm. Hmm.
I guess that's like mile 20, I think 24 maybe,
Okay.
like like right around that area,
You
like
started
on.
coming back
Yeah,
and
underneath the
oh,
bridge. I was still
sure.
right before the bridge. I was still dealing with cramps.
Mm.
So I had to walk a little, but at the same time, that's when I do feel that I had to overcome all of those mentally,
Mm.
not just because I had run out of pretzels,
Mm.
but
Got it.
because, yeah, that's when I really feel that I came back or my system reactivated itself and I was able to actually start picking up some pace, picking up my pace. I didn't get back to my 7 something pace, like close to 8
Okay.
pace,
Hmm.
but I did move like at 9:30 pace, and I was able to maintain that
Mm.
uh, almost all the way.
Great. What
Um,
you say almost all the way. What happened toward the end? You slowed down a little more and you finished?
yeah, I
Okay.
actually slowed down a little more, like maybe mile 25 even. I slowed down again,
Okay.
but by then, it was just a matter of pushing through
Mm.
and and getting to the
Keep,
finish line.
keep in mind from Westwood Boulevard at mile 25 to the finish line, except for Beverly Glen that goes way down and way up again, which that kind of slump and uphill right before a quarter mile to the finish line. But at mile 25 till pretty much the finish line, it is in kind of an unseen uphill. The same way Ocean Avenue is kind of an unseen uphill if you're heading north, or unseen downhill if you're heading south. But in this case, mile 25 to 26 is pretty much this unseen uphill. So when you say you slowed down, that may have been it. You just felt a little heavier because you're running up a slight hill. Do you think that might have been it, or you're going way slower?
I think it might have been both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, but at that point, I wasn't really feeling anything else. I was just trying not to slow down too much
Got it.
and not,
And just push through.
but at the same time, not going too fast, not trying to go too fast so
Mm,
that the cramps wouldn't come back.
got it. Yeah.
And so at the
Um,
end, I finished at 3:37
great.
and my goal was 3:20. So,
Oh,
but at the same time, I improved from last year because last year I finished in 3:52.
wow. That's a huge improvement, Jose. Good for
Mm,
you. And I do recognize you are the small ponytail Jose, right?
yes,
Yeah. Anyway,
yes,
I know. Yeah. Good offhand, that was the one demarcation I could think of to
yes, of
describe
course.
you. I
Mhm.
don't know why. Anyway, um, got it. So it
But I
sounds,
will be ready for next season and I will try again next season and I will take my time to rest, recover, heal, and be ready for September when the next season comes around. And we're
right
gonna
now.
do it all over again.
Yeah, I'm reminded you had a slight injury. Where was that slight injury and where were you cramping?
The injury was around my tendons. The team said that it's like it said it's appearing as a tendonitis. And so I
Okay.
had K tape around the heel, and then I also added sports tape around the calf,
Okay.
just so that it provided extra support. And that's when they say lift your knees up higher so that
Mhm.
mm, the landing is not that hard on your joints or your tendons anymore.
Okay.
And I guess that's the part that I was trying to do as I was running.
Got it. When you say that the tendons in your heel, I'm assuming you're talking about the injury really was like to your Achilles, your and your heel.
Yeah, it was like on the side of the where the little bone.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it was more towards the side than the back or the bottom of the heel.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Work and your cramping was in your calf.
No, it was in my quads,
Oh, your
I guess.
quads. That's interesting. Are your quads tight?
Yeah, yeah, that's what
Oh,
they also said that I needed to stretch more the
oh,
quads, and
got it.
that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But
So, do those like a minute 30, minute and a half stretch for quad stretch, lying on your side, grabbing your kind of foot and pulling it behind you, the quad stretch. But on the ground, do it for like a minute and a half every day, real
mm,
gently, like it feels like a massage or whatever. But do a minute and a half like every day, at least 6 days a week. that'll more permanently elongate the muscle as opposed to like just 30 seconds here and there. Doesn't really do much. So try that, see how you come back next season.
Yes, and they also recommended more strength training for my
Mhm.
heels,
Okay,
not just the, I mean, not just the, I guess, the quads and all the upper parts.
right.
Yeah, so they said do more like balancing
Mhm.
strength training
Got it.
to I think is to develop more the muscles on my
Right.
heels.
So in other words, balance would be like stand on one foot and maybe do heel raises. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct? Yeah, got
Yes,
it.
exactly that.
Good.
Yeah.
That you have
So
a good physical therapist.
yes.
Good.
So thank you, coach. Thanks everyone. Congrats everyone.
Well,
Uh,
Jose, congratulations to you. That's a huge PR from 350 to 307, was it?
no, 337.
All right,
337.
337 to 307.
Yeah, the goal was 320.
Got it. So you knocked off like 30, 20, what is it, 30 minutes? Yeah,
No,
30 minutes.
like 12 minutes. No, like 14 minutes. From 37, from 52 to 37.
Oh, I see. You came in at 337, not
Yeah.
307. I
Mhm.
get it. I get it. I
No,
get it.
Mel came in at 307.
I got too many people.
Yes, yes, yes.
But
Understandable,
still,
coach.
12 minutes is still considered a really good PR. That's a really good jump. I apologize. I'm wiping my eyes because I have sunscreen from earlier today that's still in my eyes kind of, but anyway, I ran this morning and anyway. But Jose, congratulations. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at track again. And take a couple weeks off, take it slow. It's good to like lose some of your ability in the beginning of the off season, and then slowly start building back up again. But start with that stretching every night. I bet, a minute 30, minute and a half every night, 6 days a week at least, of that stretch, that quad stretch, definitely will help you. That'll make you faster and less risk of cramping. Or take with you, if you're worried, a little vial of pickle juice, whatever. But anyway, good. Mel came back with a note saying, kudos to Coach Jasmine for the track sessions at the beginning of the season. Coach Z is reminding me, focus on pace. I ran with him. Good. Focus on pace. Could it be that, yeah. Also focus on the way it feels, because if you're doing the same pace up a hill and down the hill, you want to slow down. You want the same equal power output, going up the hill as going down the hill. You don't want your heart rate to go way up. If you had a power meter, it would be kind of similar watts going up the hill, similar energy output going up the hill as opposed to down the hill even. So that's running by feel can be a really important thing as well. Listen to your breathing. If your breathing is increasing, slow it down a little bit more. Your breathing is indicative of what your heart rate is doing. That's so critical, especially the first 6 miles of the LA Marathon. Next, it says here, could it be, Mel again, could it be because I'm on the carnivore diet? I don't think that's quite it. That for cramping, I think was the issue. Mel, there we go. Yeah. Focus on pace. Got it. And you ran with men for a while. Yeah. The diet isn't necessarily indicative of the fact that you're going to be cramping or burning out, or, you want to do more carbs, but I don't think. You do want, actually, you do want to do more carbs. You do need carbs if you're on a like all meat kick where your whole plate is steak That's way too much. You only need protein wise, what the palm of your hand right there, that equivalent volume of meat. If you even eat meat, I don't, but, and then the rest, yeah, you do want a lot of carbs, 60% carbs, probably 30% fat, avocado, olive oil, nuts, all those things that are healthy fats, about 30%, and then about 10% protein. You do need a little more after a long effort because you've broken up more of those little filaments, protein wise. But people who live longer, to 100 years in what we call those blue zones where people live 100 years, they tend to eat less protein, like 10%. Protein will help you feel more fuller. Protein will help with reproduction of those muscle tissue, but also protein will also help with neurological function, thinking, focus. You need protein, but you don't need that much. So if you're not getting in the carbs and you're filling up on just meat, yeah, maybe that would be an issue. Actually, that would be an issue because you need carbs to get you going farther. There you go. Anyway, oh, good. Bertina, sorry, everyone, I have to leave. Oh, sorry, Bertina. Thanks, everyone, for your support. And this is an amazing group. Bertina, I cannot agree with you more. It is an amazing group. I'm honored to be a part of it. Ollie, to everyone, my next marathon is 6 months from now. If I am using the LA Marathon training program, do I start training from week 1 with my current fitness? Yeah, I mean, yeah, even still, I would definitely I would take like 2 weeks off, do other things. Like I said, you can bike on a stationary bike, do strength training, stretching, swim. All good things to get blood flow to heal those unfelt micro tears even quicker. But yeah, and then you can jump into like week 3 of your schedule. Keep in mind, your ability doesn't plummet that quickly. And you just did a marathon. So yeah, you would want to start from the beginning and start building again. Although you could start from the beginning with a little more, because keep in mind, your ability level right now is, it's dropping, but you're kind of at a marathon ability level now, pardon me. So the question would be that I'd have for you is, do you want to go faster? In which case start, with a little more volume and add even more to peak weeks toward the end. Like I said before, add 5 or 10 minutes to each day's workout. That alone would help get you a little bit faster. And more strength training, more stretching right now, to a point more, until you're overtraining, when you start feeling just exhausted all the time, cranky, you're not sleeping well, you're more prone to getting ill, sick. Those would be signs of dramatic overtraining. You need to back off when you get to that point. It's just too much. But otherwise, you could start out with a little more than where you started out at week 1, and then build to a little more, which should help if you wanted to get faster. If not, don't worry about it. If it doesn't matter, you could even go to if you're on schedule 4, go to schedule 3, do a little less. No wrong with that. Bertina, sorry, everyone. Oh, I already read that. Ollie, my next generation is 6 months from now. Good. Mel, they changed the finish line from last year. Yeah, they had to, Mel, because otherwise, if they removed the fences that were up on Avenue of the Stars, everyone would have run until they fell into a 20-foot ditch, which would really not have been a good idea for the race organizers, to avoid legal problems, sending everyone into a finish line where they fall off a 20-foot ditch. Just the thing, so because they're digging the subway for on Avenue of the Stars. So yeah, they had to change the finish line. I haven't heard what they think about the new area. I think they're going to want to go back to the old area. I'm guessing, but it may take a year or two before we'll see what happens. Who knows where next year will lead us? I have no idea. So good. Mel, go Jose. Let's see, what is that? There's something in the way. Go Jose, push it to the limit. That's from Mel. Excellent. Jose, thank you, coach. Thank you, Mel. Good. Anybody else have any stories, the good, the bad, the ugly? So far, you guys sound like you did pretty well. Anybody else? Anybody else verbally or in chat? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? Good. Somebody on the iPhone said, thanks, everyone. And with that, I'm gonna say good night to everybody. I'm gonna stay online in case anyone has any things that they want to ask that are not recorded. Samantha says, thank you, coach, and thank you all for making these calls open to all. And thank you, coach. Thank you, guys. Thanks for chiming in. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, if you're at least registered with the LA Roadrunner freebie program, you may not be able to run with us, but you do get all this other informational stuff, schedules and this kind of stuff, the Thursday night. So definitely, if you're not going to join Roadrunners, definitely sign up for the free one. You can't really run with us. You don't get any of the other perks like the stadium, the underground at Dodger Stadium, or the underground at the Rose Bowl in the locker room was amazing, or in Dodger Stadium. You don't get any of that, but you do get informational stuff. And so do definitely at least sign up, everyone, for the newsletter and all that, the freebie thing. With that, I'm going to turn off our recording, and again say, all of you, thank you for such a great season. And I will stay online if anyone has any private questions. But with that, everybody at home, thank you for a great season. Oh, somebody wrote, not from LA, so I can't run with this awesome community, but it's been great to join on all the Zoom sessions. Thank you very much for saying that. We always appreciate that. And that was from Ollie. And with that, this is our last Zoom chat for the season. They're all online. You can go back and watch ones you missed, but we will be starting up again. You know it. Like I said, that third Saturday of September, and the Zoom chats will begin either the week before that, probably the week before that. We have a lecture that's actually already online about the Santa Monica Classic, which will be the week before we begin again. But we'll probably start these chats the week before the Santa Monica Classic even. And with that, I don't want to turn this off. But
Coach, can you repeat your code again about the training? Train
the
smart. Can you repeat the code again about training smart, and train to win, something like that?
Oh, you mean the saying?
Yes.
Oh, the saying is train smart, but train to win. Because if you don't, you won't. And if you do, you just might win. That is, that's my saying. I invented that for whatever it's worth. And
I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to bid you all a good night on this recording. And as I say, I will stay on, but goodbye to everybody for this season, this 2023 season, LA Marathon. It's been a thrill. Good night. Oh. And